Welcome back, everybody, to ZBiz Solutions Tech Time with Zach. And today we're going to be going over the XLOOKUP not found and the wildcard features. These are two features that are new with XLOOKUP coming out, and something that was not in the VLOOKUP function that is extremely useful when going through and looking up different items. We'll start off with the not found portion right now. This not found functionality is something that before with the VLOOKUP you would have done an iferror in the front of it in order to return a value that you'd chosen if there was an error in the lookup, or if the items that you were looking up were just not found and you didn't want to have a bunch of NAs in your data set. So if we go ahead and come into here, and I can show you an example of if we were to VLOOKUP something. So in here we have employee ID, and then name and department. So these names are just all names of people in a sales company from different departments. And this is something you might be asked to do: look them up by employee ID and just return a certain name for one of the employees that you're looking for information on. And so if I was to do this, and let's do this real quick as a VLOOKUP before we go into the XLOOKUP portion. Let's try a VLOOKUP first. And if I was to do this as a VLOOKUP, I would do equals VLOOKUP and look that value up and grab my array and have to do if I was to look up the name, I'd have to go 2 over, so 2 columns over, from employee ID over to name. Just a real quick lookup, and now I want to do an exact match, so I'm going to hit false. So there we go, I have Doug Jones. Now if this was instead of 4204 and it was 4203, I would get an NA back, because it would throw back an error saying that that value is not in this data array. There's nothing in here with the matching employee ID for 4203. So in the old way, the way I would get around that is I would put an if error formula in the front, I'll put a comma after my VLOOKUP, and I can put it with whatever error value. And I can just put here, but ID not found. Okay, and if I did that, it would return that text for ID not found when I had that in front of it. Well, it's a lot easier. We don't have to do a separate function now with the XLOOKUP. We can do it all in the XLOOKUP function. So let's go ahead and walk through it. So if I do equals XLOOKUP and I look at my value, which is employee ID, my lookup array, and now remember this is different than VLOOKUP. We're not grabbing everything. We're going to grab what we want to look up first. So what we want to look up is the employee ID. So I'm going to grab everything from A7 down to B21. And then we want to grab our return array, which is everything from B7 all the way down to B21. Now, you'll notice there's this if not found portion here right after that. This is where we can put in the name or the value that we want returned if the item is not found in the lookup. So in this case, we will just stick with that ID not found. And we will enter that in, and once we do that, we can go ahead and close this out. We don't need to go through the next match mode or search mode, because again, guys, XLOOKUP, it always defaults to an exact match, so we can go ahead and do that. If we just hit enter, boom, there it is, ID not found. And if we did 4204 like before, brings back Doug Jones. So nice and easy way to bring in basically errored value that you'd want to put in if you didn't have something. So one more time, let's go ahead and look up the department. We'll go equals XLOOKUP, and actually let's do it this way. Let's go ahead and copy this formula over. I just want to show you guys how easy this is to just to manipulate rather than doing a VLOOKUP. So we just hit Control C, which is copy, and then we put in the department Control V. That will give us that'll re-give us Doug Jones, because we're still using the same formula. But if we wanted to change, let's just change from name to department and tab that over. You'll see that now it selects department. All we have to do is hit enter. There it is, guys, right there. Boom. Sales manager Doug Jones, and we look down here, sales manager Doug Jones, and then we can always change this to, instead of ID not found, we can just change ID to say department not found. So if we wanted to, if we put in the wrong number, Boom, ID not found, department not found. Nice, good error values for you guys. So I hope that's useful for you. Now let's go into one other feature. This is the wildcard feature. So say you guys have a list of names, or you're trying to look up something where you don't know the exact spelling to what it is. Well, you can use a wildcard like a question mark or an asterisk or something like that, to where you can place that with the letter that you're not sure what it is. So a lot of times some people might spell Brian with B-R-Y-A-N or B-R-I-A-N, or Catherine could be spelled with R-Y-N-E or R-Y-N, or Katie could be spelled, K-A-T-Y or K-A-T-I-E, or Zach could be spelled Z-A-C-K or Z-A-C-H, and you might not be sure. So XLOOKUP provides us with this thing called a wildcard, and that makes it a lot easier to be able to find something like Brian. So if we were to do an XLOOKUP, and we'll just go ahead and we'll type in BR question mark, and then we'll do AN, and then we know the Barton's, his last name is Barton, so we can just do Brian Barton like that, but we're not sure how he spells his first name. So if we do that, and we did equals XLOOKUP, and we're going to look up the A4 value, and then our lookup array and our return array are going to be the same thing. And just like VLOOKUP, you can do the same thing. So both those name portions are the same. So now we're going to go to match mode. Match mode is going to be wildcard character 2. So if we enter 2 in there, and then we close it out, and we hit enter, you'll see Brian Barton comes up. So even if we spelled Brian down here and we instead put a Y, it's just going to change the value. It's still the same exact thing. It's bringing back the same exact value. Brian Barton at both points will be, no matter how it's spelled, it's bringing it back. So this is just a way for you guys to be able to look up a value that you don't know the exact spelling to, but you kind of have an idea. You can use some kind of wildcard portion here in place of that other letter or value, and then it can bring back what you are hoping to get. Let's go with one more. Let's look at Katie Tool here. Okay, if we read Katie Tool, it's going to bring us exactly back Katie Tool. So what if I didn't know if she had something back there, something on the back there? Let's see if we didn't know she had any other values. So let's just do 2 values there. Boom, there, Katie Tool. We weren't sure. Could have been 1 or 2 different values. And this is something that you guys want to notice. If you saw that when I did one question mark, it gave me back an error. Well, if we did 2 question marks, because it could be spelled 2 different ways, it'll bring us back that Katie Tool. And then if we did a Y, it'll bring us back an error 1 time. So you can always just kind of play around with your wildcard to see if it'll bring back the exact value. All right, guys, so that's everything I have for you today on the ZBusiness Solutions channel with this Excel XLOOKUP tutorial. If you guys found this to be informational, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Excel tutorials like this one. And we will be getting into some more tutorials next. I believe the next thing we're going to be working on is a little bit of Bootstrap and HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So if you guys are interested in that as well, stay tuned. We're going to be working on that soon. And also make sure to leave a comment or in the comment section below. Let us know what you think of these videos and what videos you'd like to see in the future. Thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time on Tech Time with Zach.